Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Kayfabe Central podcast and another episode of Predict the Bell. Today, we are going over WWE NXT Halloween Havoc 2025 that is going down this Saturday on October 25th, in the middle of nowhere in what is it, Arizona, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
It's the most random city in Arizona. That's where it's taking place. But I am your host, Josh. As always, joining me is Rule and Wrestling.
Hey guys.
So yeah, we're gonna go over our predictions, our thoughts on all of the matches on NXT Halloween Havoc. Highly doubt that there's gonna be anything else added to this card. This is like the amount of matches they have on this card right now is like the standard for an
Mhm.
NXT PLE, especially a PLE like Halloween Havoc. Even like pay-per-views like Stand and Deliver aren't usually that long either. Um, that's also probably because they have WrestleMania a few hours later. Um, which I find there should be a way to like get around that. If you actually want to make Stand and Deliver important, like have it
Well,
a day before or something.
yeah, did they not used to? I swear at one point, were they not, when it was like black and gold takeovers, were they not doing them on like the Thursday or something and then SmackDown on the Friday?
I could have
And
sworn.
maybe, oh, I mean, I suppose to be fair, we obviously used to not have the WrestleMania on a Saturday, so it was fine. But I swear at one point they did have a takeover on a Thursday.
That's very possible. It's very, very possible. Actually, yeah, I think you're right, actually. I think I do remember that. I don't remember which one it was, but
Yeah, no clue.
I think I do remember there being a takeover on a Thursday. But yeah, no, they don't do that anymore. They just jam pack everything um into a whole weekend. But yeah, we're gonna go over NXT Halloween Havoc. Like I said, not a whole lot of matches, and honestly, um, I don't know how you feel about this card, but I don't have like a whole lot of thoughts about anything on this card. To me, it's like it's a fine card, but like it's very possible that in the end it's just gonna end up meaning nothing.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. It's always the same with these type of ones. Like you've got your stand and delivers or your no mercies or whatever, which are kind of their NXT's, guess you could say, bigger ones. If we look back to the olden days of the takeovers, these they were like the takeover Brooklyns and takeover wherever WrestleMania was that year. Whereas the Halloween Havocs and all that, they do feel more like the B tier shows of NXT.
Yeah, 100%. Now, is there anything that like specifically you want to happen on this card? Because there's like two things I can think of for me.
Things to happen on this card. Hmm. Let me think. I mean, one I want to happen, but it's more the outcome of a match. So I can maybe hold on to that until we get to the match because I really want it to happen. Um, Apart from that, unless you tell me what your idea is, and I get excited from it. We'll see.
So, um, my idea that I was thinking of, and it has to do with a match on this card. And we'll start off with that being the Broken Rules match for the NXT Tag Team Championships, the Hardy Boys,
Okay.
taking on Dark State or Dork State. Um, I I want Private Party to show up.
Oh,
Now, I don't know their contract situations. I don't know if they're on the verge of leaving AEW or what's going on. Maybe it's just a pipe dream, but if it's possible to add something to this match, because let's be honest, it's not the most exciting match, even if you add broken rules. Um, but because it's broken rules, it's no disqualification. It's probably going to end up being 4-on-2. So I'd like to see Private Party.
okay. I'm cool with that. I have there, and I think that's probably part of the issue. A team that have just vanished into the void. In fact, really into a little insight. When AEW first started, they were two of my absolute favorites. I had never even heard of Private Party when AEW started, and I instantly fell in love with them. But yeah, I've completely forgotten just they existed entirely, which is probably part of the issue. So I'm 100% down for that if it's available.
Yeah, for sure. I've heard like a mix of different things about their contract situation. I think that they may still be on the AEW roster, but like a lot of the time that doesn't mean anything. It could just mean that they forgot to take them off. Um, because the last I heard they were on their way out of AEW and we haven't seen them on AEW
Yep.
at all. So, yeah, I would like to see them show up. In terms of the winner of this match, it would make absolutely no sense if DarkState were to win the titles back. So I think that this is just going to be the Hardy Boys retaining. If you can't get Private Party, maybe somebody else comes out to help them. But yeah, I don't understand if they were to go with Dark State winning back the tag titles, what was the point in having the NXT and TNA tag titles on the line at Bound for Glory?
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, you know my feelings towards DarkState. Maybe that's something I really want to happen is DarkState to just be abolished
Yeah.
from NXT. Yeah, I agree. I'm sure we can get into it over the match, but yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah. So you're going Hardy Boys as well?
Oh, was you jumping into prediction there? Oh, sure, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't realize I was wrong, but yeah, absolutely. I'm going. I'm absolutely taking Hardy Boys here. I gave. I mean, I gave up with Dark State months ago, but I've actually given up with Dark State now. I have. I feel. I do feel bad saying it, but like I don't remember like hating a faction this much. Like I've tried and I try and I try, and I think there are small glimmers of talent between and some of them when you see it, but like it's more of individual talent rather than as the faction that is Dark State. Um, it would be completely nonsensical, I think, to put the titles back on them. I don't want to see that. And I've seen everyone saying and making the points, which I do understand to an extent. People saying, oh, Hardy Boys should be putting over the younger talent. Sure, but not Dark State. So I'm taking Hardy Boys.
Yeah, I can see the Hardys holding on to those tag titles to even maybe like stand and deliver. And then
Yeah.
um I don't know, maybe they end up dropping it to a main roster team.
I
Uh
mean, I think so, but then there's no one in NXT at the minute. Like they've
yeah.
obviously got like Hank and Tank and OTM have recently returned, but they're just not on the pedestal of where I would say you need to be the NXT Tag Team Champions.
Yeah, see, you brought up OTM, and that's probably the only option I can see. I don't
Yep,
have much interest in that though.
yep,
Um, I don't know. I haven't fully gotten behind OTM.
yep. I'm the
Like
same.
they're very athletic, they're in fantastic shape, no doubt about that. But um, I don't know, maybe it's just I haven't seen enough from them yet. Maybe as the weeks go by, um, we'll see more of them and maybe my mind will change. But as of right now, I don't have any interest in OTM beating the Hardys.
No, I'm the same. I don't. I'm maybe because obviously they have kind of teased it. Maybe they go with like Javon and Leon. It's like they're not even an established team, but somehow feel probably better suited to take those championships than like any of the tag teams actually in NXT.
Yeah, and before we move on to that, because we might as well transition over to
Sure.
their tag match as well. You brought up like the members in DarkState individually. I think Saquon Shugars is probably like the coolest guy in DarkState, and I think he
Yeah.
has a lot of potential. Just because of like the energy that he brings. You can see he
Yep.
actually likes being in there, in that ring and like doing his promos and stuff. I think he has a lot of potential, but again, that's individually. I
Yep.
don't think Darkseid as a whole has any potential.
Yeah. I mean, I've said it before, well, not to get into it, but there's one glaring omission here with Dark State where the issue lies with me. Um, we can see it. You can see him from a mile off, but I think, as you pointed out, like those individual wee glimpses of like talent there, which could be sort of transformed into something, but just as a stable in the whole, it's just not it for me.
Yeah. So we brought up Javon Evans and Leon Slater. They are in tag action as well on this pay-per-view. They are going up against La Parka and Mr. Iguana. Now, when Mr. Iguana and La Parka came out on NXT, I did not expect that. I I don't know who I expected, but I did not expect it to be Mr. Iguana and La Parka. Um, in the grand scheme of things, the match is gonna be fun, but it's not gonna mean anything really. Um, if they want to continue with Javon and Leon as a tag team, then like you said, they could probably be the ones to take it off the Hardys. Um, because they're a fun tag team. I like before Bound for Glory, I was the one who said in the lead up to that match, I'd like to see Javon and Leon tag.
Yep.
And that they did, and they did a phenomenal job. They've been doing a phenomenal job. Um, so I think that they could definitely be the one to take down the Hardys, and I think that they're gonna end up picking the win over La Parka and Mr. Iguana.
Yeah, I feel like we might end up just being the same for a lot of these here. I'm very excited for the match, as you said. It will be a fun, stupid, gimmicky match. It will be the thing that pisses off all the tribalistic arseholes out there. I absolutely adore Leparko. Big Mr. Iguana fan, but I don't know, there's something so fun about Leparko. I don't know what it is. He's just got this. I think it's more the fact that he's really tall and it looks really funny. But like I love it. That's not like me being like condescending. Like it just the thing it all together works. Um, but I can't see them past Javon and Leon getting the win here, as you said, especially if they're going to continue on to be a team. Um, yeah, I think it'll be a very fun match. But yeah, Leon and Javon to pick up the win here, I would say.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like I said, in the grand scheme of things, doesn't really mean much other than this being a fun match and potentially Javon and Leon getting in
Oh,
tag contention. Um,
yeah.
I will say, a match that I still want to see is Javon and Leon versus Hank and Tank.
Ooh.
I think that would be a pretty fun match.
I agree. That would be really, really fun. Actually, really funny thing just about Leon Slater and me having a complete lack of brain cells moment earlier. No, I was doing, we were talking about it before we came online. I was doing that shout out for Discovery Pro Wrestling earlier, which their event takes place tomorrow night. I was sitting there talking about how Leon Slater is going to be on the card in Edinburgh, Scotland, completely forgetting that Halloween Havoc was happening on the Saturday, as you said, in like Arizona. And I had to be reminded by one of my good friends, Grant, shout out to Grant, that he'd been replaced by Leo Rush, and I was like, oh yeah, that makes no sense for it to be Leon Slater. So my bad.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I remember actually a similar thing happened when Leon was supposed to be at Destiny Wrestling. I did the shout out and everything. Like I think it was a day before the show. But I was like, yeah, Leon Slater's gonna be there. I think he was supposed to take on Zachary Wentz on that show.
Mhm.
And neither guy was able to make it. So I was just like, oh, okay. Hopefully no one saw that video and was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go, and then got disappointed. Um, yeah, travel issues, all that stuff happen all the time. And like you said, Leon has Halloween Havoc on the Saturday. Um, we mentioned things that we want to happen. And I don't know if this is what you were referring to either, but I want Tatum Paxley to win the NXT Women's Championship.
Hell yeah.
I think she has she's been through it all. From being in Diamond Mine with Roderick Strong and just
My
being
God.
a very like normal girl
Yeah.
and talking to a water bottle and a speaker. Um, she went from that to this character, this mess of a character where I can't fully remember what turned her crazy. I think it's just all the releases and stuff, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so, yeah, because she was also partnered up with, oh, who was it again? Gigi Dolan once she was for a while.
Yeah, it was Gigi and Shotzi she was teamed up with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. Yep.
So then they got released, and I think that's what kind of drove her over the edge. Or I could have sworn she switched her gimmick before that though. And I can't remember what sent her off the rails unless she went away for a bit and just came back with a different gimmick. That I don't remember.
Yeah, I've completely forgot as well. Because the Gigi stuff is what you are right because she's always been the kind of to the extent the Tatum Paxley what we know. But was it maybe like Lyra leaving? Maybe.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, because it was like, oh, everybody leaves her.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that was it. Um, so yeah, I want her to win the NXT Women's Championship. However, I don't think she's going to.
Okay.
I think that Jacy Jayne is ultimately going to retain. Um, that just leaves a lot of question marks as to who is going to take the title off of Jacy if she retains, though, because I would think, and anybody with that has wrestling knowledge would think that it would be Jordynne Grace. However, Jordynne Grace is currently in a whatever it is with Kalani Jordan. And it's trying to help Kalani Jordan be the TNA Knockouts champion. I don't know what's going on over there. Um, I you would think it would be Jordynne Grace, but it seems like they have a different direction for her. So maybe Tatum Paxley wins this.
Yeah, I made that comment actually about Jordan Grace as well, where I was like, how come she beat Blake Monroe in their feud, but Blake's number one contender for the North American Championship on this card and
Yeah.
is fighting, and Jordan Grace is nowhere to be seen. Um, but I mean, I really, 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 really want Tatum to win, and I am with you in the fact that I think the smart decision here is to go Jacy. However, I always go with the dumb decision, so I'm going to take Tatum. I really want her to. One, as you said, she deserves it. She's incredibly underrated. But shout out to Jacy though, because I've been saying it the last couple of months. I think a lot of us have is how much she's actually impressed us, and just in general how good she's been. We all said, oh, she'll be a transitional champion, and it will just go into Jordan or Blake Monroe, and it hasn't. And she's actually been, I found, one of the better parts of NXT. So shout out to Jacy, but I'm sorry, I really, really want Tatum to win this. And part of the reason I think she might, and not only like also I want Tatum to go and have a great run with it, but because of another person that we are talking about, particularly yourself, and I'm in total agreement with you, is to do with Izzy Dame. Now, it looks like obviously we don't know how long they have obviously started to sow the seeds a little bit of Izzy's controlling nature over Tatum, the jealousy, particularly when she won that battle royal. Um, I wonder if this is the start of when Tatum wins the championship and maybe Izzy potentially eventually be the one to feud with her and could potentially take it off of Tatum eventually. Maybe it's too much too soon. That is an absolute possibility. But Izzy Dame's someone that we've spoken about who I think has got a massive, massive future in WWE. She is incredible, as is Tatum. And I think the two of them just sort of deserve time to shine, to be honest with you. So I'm going to take Tatum.
Yeah, so as much as I want Tatum to win, I have like a similar but opposite way of thinking than you. I
Yep.
think that Jacy Jayne is going to retain because Izzy Dame costs Tatum Paxley.
Okay. Yep.
I think that's ultimately going to be the case. They seemed very babyface-ish on NXT this week.
Yeah.
And Sean Spears was just standing in the corner with his arms crossed, smiling the entire time, even when they were fighting. Um, but another reason why I like it's very possible that Tina Paxley wins is because they had her get pinned on NXT by Jacy Jayne.
True. Yep.
So it is very possible because a lot of the time when the challenger, pins the champion, the pay-per-view just means the champion's gonna retain.
Yep.
But that's not the route that they went in this case. So maybe it's just, to make Tatum look like a massive underdog, which she is. Um, and ultimately give her the big win. Um, you mentioned like Jacy Jane, how much she's evolved, and like both of these women, honestly, like who would have thought Jacy Jane from Toxic Attraction and Tatum Paxley from Diamond Mine would be facing for the NXT Women's Championship in 2025.
That's mental. I completely forgot Tatum was even in Diamond Mine until you brought it up, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah. Um, yeah, she was friends with Ivy Nile, who also left her.
Yeah.
Um, the speaker in the water bottle thing, if anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about, that's when they were feuding with Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. Um, and they had this storyline where um she I, they were talking to Alba and Isla, but they were invisible.
Hmm.
And I don't know if you remember this storyline.
I
But
vaguely do, yeah.
they were invisible and they were talking to invisible people, and it was very clear that there was just a speaker under the towel. So yeah, good old days of NXT, classic NXT there. But yeah, I'm very happy for both of these women.
Yeah, me too.
Um, We also have a Day of the Dead match for the NXT North American Championship. Ethan Page defending the North American title for against El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. Look, I completely understand the lucha libre, style of things and how it's a little bit different over there. But man, that name is a mouthful. Like,
You have no idea how many takes when I do predictions it takes me to say that. I have to cut so many takes out.
oh my goodness. It's just like even when typing it out, I'm like, okay, what's his name? And then I'm like, okay, I like the way I do it is very weird. I think of El Hijo del Vikingo. I'm
Yep.
like, okay, El Hijo, but it's a de, and then Dr. Wagner Jr. I'm like, there we go, I got it.
Finally go. See, the Vikingos one I find not too bad to say, but try to say Wagner's one, it's a tongue twister laugh.
Yeah. Um, so the Latin American Championship is not on the line in this one. Although I feel like as much as like they're overdoing the title for title things, I think this would be an instance where it would make sense because Ethan Page claims to be the greatest North American of all time. If he were to win the Latin American title, he can be like, "Oh, I'm the greatest, American of all time now." Um, because I do think that Ethan Page is retaining. I don't see Dr. Wagner Jr. taking that North American title to AAA. If Ethan Page drops that North American title, I feel like it's going to be to an NXT superstar. Um, so this should be a fun match. I really don't know what to expect. I don't know what a Day of the Dead match is. I don't know if it's just a regular no disqualification match because WWE tends to do these things, especially when it comes to like Halloween time.
Yep.
They'll call it like a trick or straight fight. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So just a no disqualification match? Yeah. So I don't know if that's gonna be that, but with it being a Day of the Dead match, they have the chance to do some really, cool gimmicky stuff here. And I think it could be pretty fun. I think whatever they pull out in this match, whether it be I don't even know what to expect, but something really gimmicky, I think could be a lot of fun. But I think Ethan Page retains in the end.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement with that. Ethan Page, just when I was thinking about it, has just been on fire recently, especially after that match with Mustafa Ali.
Yeah.
I think this will be another really good match. I actually think that's a really good idea what you brought up if the Latin American Championship had been on the line. Because again, I think Ethan Page would be great holding that as well on top of the NXT North American Championship. But yeah, that isn't the case, and yeah, I think Ethan's retaining, as you said, when it comes to whoever actually dethrones Ethan, because it's kind of got to the point where it's actually going to be quite a big moment, because Ethan's held on to that title for a decent amount of time now, and he does seem a little bit unstoppable, and I don't know who it will be to eventually dethrone him. So, big, I'm just a big Ethan Page fan to be truly honest. But yeah, as you said, Day of the Dead match. I made the comment about this saying I assume it's just no DQ. Or maybe we have zombies run the ring. And the thing that terrifies me and kind of ashames me to say is the fact that that's not out of the realms of possibility with WWE, seeing as we've had it before. Um, which will blow anyone who's only started watching wrestling in the last 2 years' mind. That yes, we've had a zombies run the ring match. Um, but I digress. I think it will just be no DQ. And at the end of the day, I think it'll be a very fun match. But Ethan Page retaining.
Yeah. Um Yeah, I don't really have any other comments about that match. Should be a fun one. We also have a NXT Women's North American Championship match. Now, this is a match that's it's confusing to me, and I have a lot of thoughts about this because it's Zaria defending the title against Blake Monroe. Now, Sol Ruka was obviously the Women's North American Champion, and she suffered an injury on SmackDown in that tag match against Charlotte and Alexa. And she came out on NXT and said that she's not going to be cleared. And they went out of their way to have Zarya say that I'll defend the title in Sol's honor. Um, this can go a lot of ways because this could go in the way of Zarya beats Blake Monroe and she's the North American champion. And because if Sol was injured and she's going to be out for a long time, then they probably would have just vacated the title. So this could just be a temporary thing, or it could be what I am actually feeling. And as much love as I have for Sol Ruka, I don't believe her. I don't believe that she's hurt because um this could like they've done this before. WWE's done this before. We know this with Seth Rollins, and they I did see a video of her limping to the back and Charlotte and Alexa helping her, but the and obviously it was towards the end of the match, but she looked fine ish
Yeah.
in the end of that match before she got put in the figure four or figure eight, sorry. Um, she looked fine to me, and I part of me just doesn't believe that she's actually injured. And I always had the thought in mind that it's going to be Zarya that turns heel and turns on Sol, which is a very likely possibility if Sol is actually hurt and then she comes back and Sol wants the title back, but Zarya says no. Or they could completely pull a twist on us and Sol Ruka is actually the one to turn. I don't know how that's gonna play out in the long run, but I feel like in terms of a moment, it could be a pretty cool moment if Soul faked the whole thing and I don't know, pairs with Blake Monroe. Um, I I'm really torn between on this match. I'm gonna lean more towards Zarya. Um, but it's a very good chance that Blake Monroe wins the title.
Okay, there's a lot of interesting points there to sort of break down. I quite like that idea you brought up with, which is something I never actually considered, would be Zario winning, but then holding that over Saul to be like, well, I actually I'm the North American champion now. Um, I quite like that idea. It's not something I considered. I'm with you on the injury to Saul because it kind of came out of nowhere to me personally.
Yeah.
And I've not seen a lot of people talking about it online, but I said it in my videos. I was like, is she actually injured? Because as we've seen a lot of injuries slash illnesses or just medical things happen over the last year, and instantly it's vacate the title. I mean, like for instance, like when 2024, Rhea Ripley wasn't out for that long, but she still had to vacate the title.
Yeah.
So when this happened, I was a bit like, okay, it's weird that, as you said, that they haven't just done that, or did they think doing this would be more interesting than just having to vacate another title at the minute? Because in my eyes, for me personally, see, even if this had been so, I was going to take Blake anyway, and I'm still going to take Blake here to win the match. But I wonder if they have thought if Blake was always going to win this match, as obviously if she does if Blake was always going to win the match, maybe they thought this is a bit more of an interesting way to tell the story rather than just have Saul vacate it and they just fight for the vacant title. Because I agree, well, in agreement with it. Maybe it's the kind of basic way to look at it, but I think in the end, I think it will be Zaria turning on Saul. I think it's a very interesting fact you're going to brought up about, or just kind of point about Saul. It would be a massive swerve for her to be healed, but this is the thing though. I got burned literally this year by what I'm about to say and saying I just don't see Saul being able to play a heel. But I said that about Naomi, and she turned out to be one of the best heels of the year. So what do I know? To be truly honest. So I think that could be interesting to see. I'll go the simple route though. I think it is going to be Blake Monroe beating Zaria here. Uh, Zaria, maybe it's because the thing when Zaria said, "I will defend that title for you" as well, you could kind of see on Saul's face she wasn't really about it. She looked a bit like, I don't know. So I think we get Zaria losing it to Blake. As I said, I don't know if Saul is injured or not. Depends how long she's going to be out for, if she actually is. But in the end, we maybe have Saul being a little bit pissy with Zaria, being like, "Well, you did lose my championship." Zaria just gets sick and tired of it, and then ends up turning on Saul. So I think that's kind of the really basic ass, I think, version of what could happen. But I'm going to take Blake Monroe here to become your new NXT Women's North American Champion.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point because I had another thought and I've had so many thoughts about this match because it honestly can go so many different
It
ways.
can, yeah,
And I think that's honestly a good thing because
yeah,
we
absolutely,
don't know. Um, I was also thinking that Blake Monroe wins the title. Um, and Sol Ruka is obviously pissed. Now, after that, I think logically it would make sense for Sol Ruka to be the one to turn because she's
yeah,
like, Daria, you lost my fucking title. Like you said you were gonna defend it for me and you lost it.
yeah,
Um, I'm with you though in terms of Sol Ruka being a heel. I don't fully see it, but then again, we said the same
yeah.
thing about Naomi, right? It could work if, given the right direction. Um, and like it could end up just being like um Zario retains the title. And I'm going through another outcome here. Zaria retains the title, and after the match, Sol turns on her and takes her title back, and maybe aligns herself with Blake Monroe, and we get like the mean blonde girl kind of duo.
There's so many ways, as you said, which it can go. I was the same with this one. Like, I really don't know. I think more than anything, to be the reason that I'm thinking along the route that I'm thinking is more just because of Zario's character, actually. Because, I mean, again, we could be completely wrong, like we said with Saul. Maybe we don't see her as a heel. At the minute, I don't really see Zaria as a babyface, but then again, maybe I could be completely wrong.
Yeah, because like you look at the segments between Zaruka and Blake Monroe, Sol Ruka doesn't really have much to say back at Blake
Yep.
Monroe. Um, as a matter of fact, one week she agreed with Blake Monroe,
Yep.
and I find that really interesting because if you're really good friends with somebody, then you would have their back no matter what the other person says. That hasn't fully been the case. Solrook has been very quiet when Blake Monroe's around and talking to Zaria. Like a lot of the time it's because Zaria speaks for Soul, but
Yep.
that's just another thing. Like Soul could just be like, I could speak for myself. I don't understand why you're speaking for me. And that triggers a turn.
Hmm.
In the end, I think we could possibly be leading to a ruse that Soul's not hurt because I honestly don't believe her. I don't because the last time we had almost nothing on an injury, it turned out to be a ruse.
Yep.
And like you said, we've heard nothing. And a lot of the times when the IWC calls an injury a work and it's not, the wrestler will reply or somebody else will reply, be like, no, this is legit. We've had none of that.
Yeah.
So, I think that this could be a work, and we're looking at a Soul Ruka heel turn. And in terms of the outcome, I think if we're getting Soul turning heel, Zarya retains.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm really intrigued by this because it really the whole injury angle thing. Because as you said, as I said, it just came out of nowhere. Like I seen the announcement that on well Tuesday night, sorry, saying that Sol Ruka was going to address the NXT universe. And I was a bit like, What? Like, this is weird. And then they even did the vignette of Saul and Zaria coming into the building with Saul in crutches. It's like they don't normally do that when it's a big kind of emotional, like, yeah, I'm hot, I need to go away. So I'm with you. I'm too scared to say that it actually is because last time I nearly got laughed off of TikTok for saying that about Seth Rollins. But yeah, I am kind of with you. I don't think I believe so. Well or not, the outcome changes. But then if it is a walk, why would she be lying about it, as you said, unless she was? You've brought up a lot of really interesting points, and I was already interested in this match. I'm now going to be watching this match at like with like peak interest because there's so many like angles that could come out of it.
100%. I hope that they don't go with like the most boring ending ever for this match though. Um, like there's so many routes that they can go, especially if
Yeah.
Soul's not actually hurt and they have a plan here. And if that's the case, I am actually more interested in that than the NXT Championship match between Ricky Saints and Trick Williams. Now, I have nothing against Ricky Saints and Trick Williams. I think they're both great. Ricky Saints cut a fantastic promo on NXT. Um, and I feel when Ricky he chooses when he wants to cut a good promo. There's
Mhm.
sometimes it'll be your, traditional basic babyface promo, but there's times where he will actually go off on the microphone, and he did that on NXT. Still ended up being a very standard contract signing with someone going through a table. We expected that. Um, I don't see Trick Williams winning the NXT title here. I don't see a point in him winning it. Um, sure, there's been the whole thing of him being a three-time NXT champion. Um, if I'm not mistaken, that's the record
Yeah,
he's done.
Joe believes the only other one
Joe and Balor, if I'm not mistaken.
is Balor free. Is he 2 or 3 time?
I could have sworn he was three.
I know Joe is a definite.
Yeah,
Balor could
Joe's
well be as
definitely
well.
three. I could have sworn somebody tied Joe. Um, I could be wrong about that, but um, yeah, I don't see the point in having Trick Williams lose the TNA World Championship just to win the NXT Championship. I think it's ultimately going to be Ricky Saints that retains. I can see him just holding the NXT title until Stand and Deliver. Now, I brought up earlier about the Hardys potentially losing to either Leon and Javon or a main roster team. I can see Ricky Saints dropping this NXT title to a main roster superstar as well at Stand and Deliver. I don't know who, but I can see that being the case. In terms of Trick Williams, I think it's time you call him up to the main roster. One, you need people, you need fresh talent on the main roster, especially with the amount of injuries that you have. And he's done everything there is to do in NXT. He even won the TNA World Championship. So, um, Carmelo and The Miz, they're, almost finished their thing. Call Trick Williams up to SmackDown. Like I brought up this a few weeks ago. You can even pair Trick Williams with The Miz and Trick and Mello start feuding.
You did indeed. Yeah, I mean, again, once again, it's kind of boring, but it's in total agreement with it. So yeah, having a quick look. So yeah, so Joe is the only 3 time one. So as you said, I know he's kind of fighting for that, but I just don't see the point in Trick becoming a 3 time NXT champion. He's done everything he needs to be done. It's actually something I've not seen get brought up just in general with like the IWC or whatever that much. And the fact that there's obviously all these talks about call-ups happening, but also none seem to be happening at the minute, WWE. Um, there's all these talks, also like to Obafemi, but like Trick Williams, I would chuck in that camp, even though he's still on NXT. Like he's done everything. There's nothing left, I feel, for him to do on NXT. I said he's been a 2 time NXT champion. He's been an NXT North American champion. He's even been the TNA champion. He's returned. He's had a match with a returning Carmelo Hayes, so they've even had a chance to run that back. There's nothing else for him at all. So I think it's about time he gets called up. And yes, I think this would just be a a simple title defense for Ricky. See, I'm not mind Ricky. I know you and the wrestling geezer talked about this with Ricky, and he absolutely hates Ricky Saints. Oh, sure. But yeah, I don't mind Ricky. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like he's my absolute favorite in the world. But like it is an interesting one at the minute with the NXT audience because some folk seem to really like him and others just really don't care. Um,
Yeah.
when he comes out, as you just pointed out and talked about, when he does his kind of wee Finn Balor-esque entrance, he's thinking that not a lot of people are doing it in the crowds, so yeah, it is a weird one. Ricky Saints. I don't mind him. I'm not gonna say obviously I'm not gonna pretend I'm his biggest fan, but I don't mind him being a he said when he wants to, he can cut a hell of a good promo when he wants to. It's something I do like about him. And as this one NXT past week was very, very fun. But yeah, this is more of a case of not so much thinking that Ricky should win. It's more a case that I just don't see the point in Trick winning. I just think it'd be a waste of everyone's time. So yeah, I've got Ricky Saints to retain.
Yeah, and I've thought about this like since the Wrestling Geezers podcast that I did. Go check it out by the way if you haven't. I don't think that Ricky Saints himself is the problem. I think it's the expectation that was put on him.
Yeah.
In AEW and especially when he came over to NXT, there was talks about him, he's the next Rock, right? He's
Mm.
got all this potential to be the next Rock, the next Stone Cold, whatever. He's going to be a star on the main roster. I think it's those expectations, and when those expectations aren't near met, that's when the IWC is like, oh no, this guy's trash, this guy's whatever. It's the expectation you put on these people. And when they are slowly climbing up the ranks, that's when the IWC is like, oh, you need to push this guy better. He's not being booked good. I don't like this guy anymore. Um, I think that's the main problem with Ricky Saints because he's good in the ring. I don't think he's bad in the ring at all.
Yep.
I don't think he should have beat Obafemi with a tornado DDT. Um, but I think he's good in the ring. Like we said, he can cut a good promo when he wants to. And he's charismatic. Like when he was cutting that promo, you can see people in the background in the crowd, like they were feeling his promo a little bit.
Yep.
And so he really connects with that NXT crowd, especially because that's a younger audience. Um, and I think we have a lot more of that even with the main roster now. Um, I feel like WWE's audience is a little bit younger now,
Hmm.
like not even kids. I'm talking like our age and like late teens. Um that's especially with NXT, that's the crowd that
Yep.
they have for NXT, and he really connects with that crowd. So and I was watching a interview with MVP or like a clip of an interview, and he was pretty much saying it doesn't matter what anybody else says, behind the computer, and fuck you, MVP, by the way. That's my job. But he has a very great point where it's like it's how the crowd responds to you is that's your rating. That's how you know you're doing a good job or a bad job. If they're not reacting, you're not doing your job right. If they're reacting, you're doing you're doing your job.
Yep.
And while there's, some people in the crowd that aren't doing it along with Ricky Saints and don't really care, I've seen a lot of people around our age in the crowd that are really behind Ricky Saints. So I think it's more of the expectation that was put on Ricky Saints coming into the WWE more than Ricky Saints himself.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. And I think kind of we've got two parts for it. So, firstly, as you said, that expectation and when you get told this is going to be the guy, a lot of fans turn away from that. And I think the perfect example was also the original coming out the Shield version of Roman Reigns. Like they were told that this is going to be the guy, and folk just rejected it. Now, it's not as extreme as that. That one was very, very forced. Um, but as you said, when it's not the guy that the NXT, the IWC, or just the WWE Universe, whoever, that they want, they're going to make their feelings heard. And as I'm not saying Ricky's on that level yet of being hated. He's also not. You said there's got a lot of fans out there. But yeah, I think when you're told and the expectation of this guy's going to be the absolute megastar, and when he's maybe not quite that, I can see why um people would start to turn. I'm fine with Ricky at the minute. And another good point that you brought up, which obviously came from MVP himself, is that whole it it's what the reaction you get is what matters. Doesn't matter what Oz little marks online say. And I think a perfect example of that, and I was going to do a video talking about it this weekend, is look at Jey Uso winning that Battle Royal on Monday. Now, you, I'm sure, along with myself, have seen the uproar online about that. You
Yeah.
would think it was the most hated thing in wrestling, but look at the crowd reaction when he won that. Everyone went absolute mental in that building. I said it's a different world, it's a different universe, the actual audience compared to the internet audience. Um, and I says as long as he's connecting, he's going to be put up there. So he said that with Ricky. I can see the similarities. So yeah, it's a very, very good point. Yeah, it'll be. I said I've not got a problem with Ricky. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh my God, he's the next coming of Christ, and I want him to be WWE champion next year. I'm not going to sit and say that, but yeah, I think he's doing a good job at the minute. Actually, yeah, it'd be good to see him get his teeth into some more feuds over the next few months.
Yeah, you brought up Jey Uso actually, and I know we're completely just pivoting from Halloween Havoc right now.
It's a short
But
show anyway.
yeah, exactly. Um, Jey Uso, I think, is going to be very close to getting the big dog Roman Reigns treatment from the crowd. Um, and I'm not saying that to throw any shade on Jey Uso. I don't think he should have won the Battle Royal. But we mentioned how on the internet, and that's always how it starts, how a lot of people are furious that Jey Uso won that Battle Royal. I think if, and like next week, we'll get into our Saturday night's main event predictions, but I think if Jey Uso wins that title over CM Punk, I don't expect a good reaction
Oh
down
no.
the line. I don't. And eventually, the IWC is going to translate into the actual arenas. And I think WWE is focusing too much on listening to the, like, obviously, there's a lot of idiots on the IWC, but when you have a moral majority of people despising one thing, I think you have to listen to that a little bit too, more than just like, not more than like, just as much as you listen to the in arena audience.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it offline a lot, like you, me, and Stu as well. Like I'm 100% with you. It's like and it's got to the point where this is a controversial take to say online. I'm scared the wrestling geeks might come and try and murder me for saying this, but like I don't mind Jey Uso. I'm
Yeah,
fine. I was happy when he won the Rumble. I was happy with him winning at Mania, not the way he did, as you talked about. I don't think Gunther should have tapped, but it is what it is. Um, I was happy with that. Was the title reign any good? Not really, but I mean, there's been certainly a lot worse title reigns out there. I'm glad he got his moment to shine because I believe he thoroughly deserved it. But as you said, I think we are starting to get to that territory because I always said so. I'm one of the people who can be positive about Jey Uso, but even I was watching that on Monday night and I was like, I don't think he should have won that.
yep,
Not only just for Jey Uso, because I think it makes the match rather boring at Saturday night's main event. Because obviously, I don't know WWE's thought process, but surely Jey can't win this. um, I would like to think surely he can. Whereas if you put it, like, if we'd done, I know I don't know also your feelings on it, but I would take a wild assumptions. One of the guys you'd rather probably have seen won that match or won the battle royal was LA Knight.
yep,
Yep, he's the one that I think probably should have won it. Now, in hindsight, obviously, I pitched my wee idea to you about Jimmy, so which I was like shouting at the TV. I was like, "Come on, Jimmy!"
yeah,
Because that's the thing. You could have actually done the storyline they told in that match, with Jimmy Uso. They could have done the exact same thing and rather it be Jay, be Jimmy, and further the cracks there with Jay. But yeah, in hindsight, it's a great thing. In hindsight, I think it should have been LA Knight. And I think that's a much more compelling match at Saturday's main event because at that point you've kind of got a win-win. Obviously, if you're a fan of CM Punk and LA Knight, if you're not, then then that's just your own issue, to be honest. But because if Punk wins on Saturday, it's like on Saturday night's main event. Sorry, it's good. We got Punk. We didn't get Jay. If Jay wins, there's going to be an uproar. It's literally going to be like Cena on One Night Stand against RVD. Um, if Jay also wins that. Whereas if we had LA Knight, it's a win-win because if Punk wins, it's cool. Punk won. People want to see that. If LA Knight wins, it's the guy that most of us, when I say all, most of us have been clamoring for to get to the top and has just been held down a lot. So I think it's a very weird decision by WWE. And as you said, if Jey Uso wins this match, I'm going to say the same. It's quite brutal and quite harsh, but this could be a career death sentence if Jey Uso wins this match.
Yeah, and I'm completely with you on the Jey Uso point, the fact that I don't mind him.
Yep.
Like I like Jey Uso. He's cool,
Yep.
but
Yep.
I think it's the fact that he's now being forced on us.
Yeah.
And I never had any interest in him chasing the world title. Um, his little singles run was fun. And I think him with the Intercontinental title, that was fine enough. I don't think he needed a world title. Um, and the Uso storyline is just another thing I don't understand because I brought this up on my Raw post show. Um, how Jimmy earlier in the night was saying how he is going after everybody, including Jey Uso in the Battle Royal. But when it came to the Battle Royal, any chance he got, he saved Jey Uso, which I found very weird because he literally told Jay that he's going to be going after him too, only for Jay to throw him over the top rope. I think you could have done that exact same thing without Jey Uso winning the Battle Royal. It made
Yeah.
sense for it to be LA Knight. Hell, I would have been fine if it was Dominic Mysterio.
I was going to say that.
I would have been fine with that.
I was rooting for Dom at the end. I was like, hell yeah, go Dom.
I'm like, please, Dom, please. Um, but LA Knight, I feel made the most sense. He was jaw-jacking
Yep.
with CM Punk when Punk came out for commentary. And I'm like, okay, this makes sense to go in that direction. I was also hoping for what you said, the Jimmy Uso thing. I think that would have been cool. And then we had Jay get jealous a little bit. Um, I think that would have been a more interesting aspect than Jay and going for the world title and Jimmy getting jealous because we've seen that so many times.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's a weird one. This is a very weird storyline, and I think that they're taking a step in the wrong direction, and they're going to take an even bigger step in the wrong direction if Jey Uso wins that title. I don't know if my mind will change by next week, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I can't see. I'm with you totally. Because the other part of it as well is it would be a bit more compelling if we hadn't seen CM Punk literally pin Jey Uso to become the number one contender. Like
Yeah,
we've already.
literally.
I know it was a triple threat, but like we've basically already seen the match. Um, so it doesn't make a load of sense. So I don't know. I mean, also we'll talk about it when we do predictions next week. So obviously, like Ellie, I've already said it, so Ellie spoiler. But like, I just don't see. I don't want to believe that WWE are that naive to put that title back in Jey. So I just can't see that happening. If they do, then they've got some balls on them, and not in a good way. That's all
Yeah,
I'll say.
yeah, 100%. But yeah, we'll leave Saturday night's main event until next week. Um, but yeah, that was our Halloween Havoc predictions, believe it or not. For
Kind of.
2025. Yeah, we spent like the last 20 minutes talking about Jey Uso and the Usos. Um, but yeah, that is our Halloween Havoc 2025 predictions. I have not yet posted the written predictions for Halloween Havoc. So if anybody was like looking for that or looking forward to that, I apologize. I will have those up probably before I post this podcast. I'm probably going to do that after and then post the podcast. So they will be up for anybody that is looking for it potentially. I completely missed AEW Dynamite because I went out with family last night. I figured I'd just take a night off. I wasn't going to initially, but I took the night off, so I'm gonna watch Dynamite tonight because there's no TNA tonight. Um, So yeah, I'm gonna catch up on that. And then I'll probably talk about it on the headlines this week. But yeah, that is going to do it for us. Let us know your predictions and your thoughts for Halloween Havoc. If you agree or disagree with us, we always love hearing your opinions. So leave them down in the comments below. I appreciate all the support that I've been getting on the channel. Make sure you guys go follow Rue and Stu on TikTok as well. They make some amazing content. So make sure you guys go ahead and give them a follow. Also subscribe to their YouTube channels as well. Yeah, fantastic content over there as well. And yeah, thank you guys for the support that you've been showing the Kayfabe Central podcast. I appreciate it so much. But yeah, I will be back sometime this week. Oh no, for the Friday Night SmackDown post show, I will be back. So that is the next time you will hear from me on this YouTube channel. Was Friday night. So until then, make sure you guys subscribe, like, and comment. Hit the notification bell so you're up to date with all the videos, podcasts, and interviews that come to the channel. Subscribe to the Kayfabe Central Ko-Fi page. It's $5 minimum to subscribe to the exclusive wrestling content tier. Check out the Kayfabe Central Discord server as well. That is also in the description below, as well as everything else. If you want to place a chat up about wrestling or non-wrestling stuff, you can go ahead to the Discord server as well. And go follow me on TikTok as well. I do my live watch alongs on TikTok. YouTube is not letting me stream yet, apparently, because I have to post YouTube shorts now.
Oh,
So yeah, I'm probably gonna be posting more shorts, finding some shorts to post. So keep a lookout for that as well. YouTube is very weird with their rules and stuff. So yeah. Can't go live on YouTube yet, but make sure you guys go follow me on TikTok. I go live on there and post my previews for the weekly shows, all that good stuff on my TikTok. So go ahead and check that out. And with that being said, I will see you guys on the next one. Take it easy.